Hey, it's Tom. Going solar is a great way to save on energy costs. By using the sun to power your house, you can feel good about an investment that will last for years. All Energy Solar is a locally trusted turnkey solar installer that's been around since 2009. They provide custom designs and quality installations of solar panel systems that work for your energy needs. One of the best parts about going solar is it's an investment that can pay for itself. Your system can pay back 100% of the installation cost in as little as 8 years. Plus, the system from All Energy Solar can pay back over 300% of its cost over its lifetime. There's also many tax incentives and rebates available, and the experts at All Energy Solar can walk you through the entire process to make sure you're saving as much as possible. So go green, both financially and environmentally, with All Energy Solar. Get a free, no-obligation assessment from All Energy Solar by calling 800-620-3370 or visiting allenergysolar.com.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
At Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we have wood stoves that qualify for the new 30% income tax credit. A great opportunity to get an efficient stove and heat with renewable energy.
Right now, avoid supply chain delays, avoid the fall rush, avoid bad weather installation, and save money because we are now discounting the price on all chimney parts you need for installation for any of Woodland's new stoves and fireplaces.
We can help you with the stove and the chimney planning. Want to do it yourself? We will help you determine all the parts needed with our installation know-how. We have been installing wood stoves and fireplaces for over 45 years.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood, gas, and electric units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. Save money. Take advantage of the spring and summer chimney discounts when you buy any fireplace product right now at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. A chance of rain overnight with a low of 50, then another chance of rain on Thursday with a high of 65. Hazel's Northeast offers the most creative comfort food you'll find for any meal of the day. Hazel's is located at 29th and Johnson in Minneapolis, minutes from 35W. More at hazelsne2go.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, hitting cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot, and we discuss local and national Native news and events. And as you know, Wendy, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
This portion of the show is sponsored by Native American Community Clinic on Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis, honoring health and tradition.
Great to have their support. And, there's a couple things going on here, Wendy. Last night they had the big fashion show in Minneapolis, the all indigenous fashion show that looked like pictures all over the place. Big success. And also, President Biden is running for re-election.
Some people are worried about that.
Yeah,
there was a New York Times article this morning saying that, I have it right here, I'm just going to read a little bit. And it says the biggest reason that many Democratic officials are nervous about President Biden's age is not his ability to do the job in the second term. Strange as it may sound, the American government can function without a healthy president. The U.S. marched toward victory in World War II while Franklin Roosevelt was ailing in 1944 and 1945. 4 decades later, the government managed its relationship with a teetering Soviet Union while Ronald Reagan's mental capacity slipped. In each case, the White House aides, cabinet secretaries, and military leaders performed well despite the lack of a fully engaged leader. So, yeah, but it's a little bit, disheartening. It's a little bit nerve-wracking because the article goes on to say while he has good staff behind him, sometimes when he gets up in public, he uses maybe his wrong words. And I think that his stuttering that he's managed to really do well with over many, many years sometimes comes out, and it seems like he doesn't know what he's doing or doesn't know what he's talking about when it's just really, that stuttering that he has. So I don't know.
Wendy, Joe Biden's been around for 50
Yes,
years.
yes.
And I want to know one thing, and I've asked you this before because, all my hair isn't up there since we've met, it's fading away there slowly but surely.
Yeah.
How does he have more hair now, President Biden, than he did when 30 years ago?
Well, maybe, yes, he probably has had
spray paint. No?
Implants, probably hair follicle implants or some type of something. But yes, he
Now
does,
I know
even
what
though
I
it's
want
not
for-
very thick. And
Now I know what I want for Christmas.
oh, yeah, something like that. Is that really what you want? Yeah.
What else you got for us?
Well,
We got some crazy news going on here as always.
I don't know. Yeah, so that's really what we're talking about here. Is President Biden too old to run a campaign again and do what he has to do? I mean, if he wins, he'll be 86 during his term. That's pretty old.
When he's done, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's in good shape, but we have Zoe and Haley on, and Haley's going to be working for us. She already is working for us. She just doesn't know that.
She's training now.
Right.
That's
And
awesome.
we're wondering
We're gonna miss Zoe.
what the young ones think. Zoe, what do you think about a president that's old enough to be an Indian way? Maybe your great grandfather. I'm not,
Oh my
not
gosh.
sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's interesting that they're comparing him to, what was it, FDR or way back, and it's like, well, we have a lot of younger people in the political scene who are a lot more in touch with the world these days, and so I hope that after his term and his potential next term that we get someone younger in there, just because it's like it's a little frightening that he is so old, and also that he can't really like articulate himself fully all the time. I just think of obviously like our last presidency and like how in, the world we're kind of looked at as a joke almost, like politically, and then now to have another president who's obviously doing a lot of different things that are a lot better than the Trump presidency, is still not really like speaking in the terms that we would maybe want him to. And so yeah, I was just thinking about your comment, Robert. I was like, yeah, definitely, like well, first off, most native people don't make it to 80, unfortunately.
Right.
And so he would be like a great grandfather potentially, given the how young our people have
Yeah.
children. I was always shocked when I lived up north. It was like my friend's grandma was like my dad's age, and so I just remember growing up north and being like so worried because I'm like, why are my parents so much older? But actually, down in the Twin Cities, that is very normal. So then they're not that old. But Haley, I'd be interested to hear your take too, if you're comfortable sharing a little bit.
Oh, I think
Oh, you're on mute. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, there we go, guys. Just figuring stuff out. But yeah, first of all, I just wanted to say hi to everyone listening in all 4 directions. Just wanted to give a little background about myself. So as my Dega Robert mentioned, my name is Haley Cherry, and I'm a descendant of family from Ho Chunk Nation and the Winnebago tribe of Nebraska. I'm also a graduate from the U of M Twin Cities. Grew up around the Twin Cities my whole life and focused my studies in school in media production and minored in Native American studies. And I'm really passionate about just human rights, animal welfare, natural resources, conservation, just trying to learn in every way possible in how I can do my part in helping make the world and this country, a better place. Because what I've been seeing, just as I'm getting older, I'm 25 now, and things haven't really been changing. As a kid, we've been told, oh, like things are going to be amazing when you grow up and do this and that. And here we are being raised in this generation and seeing kind of what hasn't changed. And just hearing everything, words don't really, unfortunately, don't hold much meaning anymore. So I hope to see action in every way possible, really.
Well, joining the team as you do, Chujunk, or as you are, it's very important because we have listeners that are really interested in the same thing that you are, and Zoe and Wendy and myself are. And it's been really a privilege for us, Wendy, for the last 7 years to really amplify a lot of Native voices, non-Native voices that are allies and like-minded people.
Yeah, it's always good to have the younger generation and different perspectives on things too. So that's really, really helpful too. So
yeah. I thought Zoe was going to bring up what I brought up about Biden's hair plugs, but she talked about something a little different. But so Zoe, we got like a minute left, or Haley, we got a minute left. Politically, how do you feel? I mean, we got a lot of stuff going on. We have a guy that's going to be 86 years old running again when he's done as president if he gets elected. And then we have another person that's a lunatic that we don't know how old he is or how tall he is or how much money he has.
Can you be president when you're in prison?
Yes, you can.
You could really be president in prison?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll find out.
You just have to be a certain age, right? Over
36.
Over 36, and you have to be a natural born U.S. citizen.
Yeah.
I think that's the only criteria. You don't even have to have a high school diploma.
How old is AOC now? Does anybody know?
No.
Because that would be a good president coming up.
I was hoping that two different candidates would have came up, a new Democratic candidate and a new Republican candidate, not Santos, but just because of the division of the United States in the last election. So,
well, I'm glad it's Santos because as my great granddaddy used to say about people, he's dumb as a stump. So he should be able to be beaten. But that's another story to another song. Hey, up next, we have Robert Blake from Red Lake. We're talking to the Solar Bear with the Solar News.
Stay with us.
We are your relatives.
We are your relations.
Brothers,
sisters,
sons,
daughters.
And some of us are your grandchildren.
We are your community. Historically, we held places of honor and respect. Because of the impact of colonization, some of us are rejected, thrown out from family, friends, and community, set up as targets for sexual violence, sex trafficked, humiliated, tortured, and murdered. Everybody has the right to be safe. We are your relatives. Remember,
homophobia is not traditional.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, Ogama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Up your game both personally and professionally. The Dare to Be Great event is on May 20th at the Parkview Event Center at the Mall of America. It features two nationally known speakers, Jack Canfield, founder of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series, and Michael Vukovic, author of The Mind, the Muscle, the Miracle. General admission tickets are $197 and VIP tickets are $297 and include lots of fun bonuses. Don't miss this amazing opportunity to learn from two gifted speakers and move your life from good to great. Get your tickets and details at outrageoussuccess.com. That's outrageoussuccess.com.
J&S Bean Factory is a native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by MN350, a grassroots organization fighting for climate justice.
Yes, they do. Hey, we have Bob Blake on with the Solar Bear with the Solar News, and we're asking Bob to work a little overtime, so there'll be a little something extra in his envelope this week. We're going to have him on a couple segments, and we're excited to have you on, Bob. And there's a lot of good news going on and a lot of not so good news, and you're here with the Solar News, so welcome as always.
Yeah, thanks, Robert. Can you how am I coming through? I got my new mic here. My new
You got another new mic?
Yeah, I got another new mic. I'm trying to this was another gift too, by the way. So
oh geez.
Yeah.
Well, you sound great.
I get to do these podcasts with all these really cool people, and they send me these gifts like to hook up to my computer. So I'm like, okay, I'll take them, But
right on. Sound great. You'll have to tell us what kind of mic it is so we can get Haley one. Holy wow.
Yeah, but Robert, there is like so much going on. You sent me that one.
Yeah.
That one, and I sent you my op-ed that will
right
be the national publications here soon, or the national media outlets. So, it's a really interesting time. I don't know where you want to start at, but
Well, I think maybe if you'd like, and I know it's pretty long, but if you would want to read your op-ed, I think it's very interesting and right on, and we can go from there, or you can, up to you, give us a synopsis of it, and we can go from there also.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we'll start out with the positive push by a native warrior here, and what he's doing for the community and for nations all across the nation, Turtle Island.
Yeah. Okay. Absolutely. So what's happening, Robert, is I hate to say this, but the GOP, the Republican Party, is trying to walk back a lot of the provisions that are in the Inflation Reduction Act. And so, and specifically they're targeting a lot of the incentives that are in there, that are focused on, BIPOC communities, tribal nations, community solar. I mean, these things that are just like, I don't even know where to begin. It's kind of, it's ridiculous. It's just totally ridiculous that they're doing this. And this is happening, like they're making a big push this week, and they're going to be harping on this. And this is their new playbook right now. So I was asked by, a national publication, and they're going to print this, if I would, participate in a opinion editorial. And so I said, absolutely. And this is basically what it is. And I'll just read you a few sentences, and we don't have to get this week, House Republicans released their plan to repeal clean energy tax credits passed by the Biden administration. As a small business owner of a solar power installation company, I worry my business will suffer as a result. To me, solar energy is one of the most democratic things we can bring to a community. When I think of solar, resiliency and autonomy comes to mind. In Native communities like mine, the self-reliance that solar brings goes hand in hand with our tribal sovereignty. And I'm going to just break down there's like 5 things down here, but it's disappointing to see some congressional Republicans want to repeal these tax credits, if we don't start really committing to the clean energy transition over the next 20 to 30 years, we would do a disservice to our communities, environment, and national security. Solar power and other clean energy projects make our country more adaptable and resilient to the impacts of climate change that lie ahead. Why would anybody be against that? Not only would the House GOP plan set the country further behind in energy security, but it could hamper the future growth of my business. Our people, environment, economy, national security, and future generations all need the Inflation Reduction Act. I hope the lawmakers leading this repeal realize just how devastating these cuts would be. So, those are just kind of some words in a nutshell of, exactly, my thoughts on it. And to be completely transparent with everybody and everybody listening, we are literally beyond the tipping point. And, this is all about, I don't even bring up mitigation anymore. I totally talk about resiliency and adaptation. And that's what we need to be doing. And, I'm sorry, everyone, but for the next 10 to 20, 30 years, we need to be doing adaptation and resiliency projects like solar. Solar needs to be everywhere. These, unfortunately, these Republicans are going to set us back, and we can't allow them to do that. This is our future, your kids' future. This is all of our future, Republican, Democrat, black, white, it does not matter. And, so I feel very strongly about this. And so, I feel honored that I was asked to, put this out there, and it's going to be going out there very shortly. But I do believe that this is an issue, Robert, that everyone needs to know about, and you need to call your local official, your local state official, call your Republican. If it's Republican, call them, say, this is where we want to go. This is gonna stop jobs. I mean, it's gonna stop a lot of things for us here in this country, and this is we're moving backwards with this. Obviously, they are doing a lot of legislation that are moving us backwards, but this is devastating.
Yeah, it's one in a million. And how can Minnesota reduce its carbon by 2040 to zero when things like this are happening? And we'll be older, and what are we leaving our next 7 generations? And that's what everybody, not just us indigenous people to this continent, but everyone needs to look at. What are we leaving our children, our children's children, our children's children's children? That's what we have to really be focused on, and not this greedy anti-whatever is going on with the GOP and people in power.
Yeah, and I mean, to specifically focus in on the Inflation Reduction Act and those provisions that are in there that targets BIPOC communities. You know what I mean? That targets tribal nations. Listen, anything in there they shouldn't be cutting, but for them to specifically focus on these communities just really shows me where the GOP and the Republican Party and their views really do lie. And I would just like everyone to understand that that's not what this country is about. That's not what this democracy is about. I just hope that as we start thinking about the next president, as we start thinking about this next election cycle, which we just got over one, but I mean, as we start thinking about these things, that we remember these moments, because your vote does matter, and who we decide to be in power does matter, and it will affect you one way or another.
Well, and we can thank, Wendy, the Gen Zs came out and voted big time, and they're listening and watching too, and hopefully the millennials and people like that are going to kick it in, because it's election to vote takes one day for us citizens, and something that we should be able to do, like butter bread and all those things. We need to be engaged in every one of these elections, because not only is this solar going to be taken away, but we got ICWA coming up, and that's a attack on native sovereignty right there. And so it's red alert time all the time.
It is red alert.
Yeah, absolutely, Robert. I mean, you talk about ICWA, you talk about all the other, and I've always said that the framers of the Constitution, they left tribal nations sovereign for this very reason, because they knew that one day a corporate oligarchy was going to try and take over this democracy, and they knew that we are the last thing standing in the middle of this entire country becoming just a big corporation, of us being a Hunger Games episode, honestly. And that's why the tribes do have their place, and that is really we are the last thing standing in between it. And that's why you have these attorneys from these conservative attorneys that are attacking tribal sovereignty. And it's you can just see it. It's such a playbook move by the GOP.
Exactly. And we have some other news we want to talk about. We only got a minute left in this segment, and we're going to probably talk about what do you think we should talk about next. There's another things, and it's really crazy because usually when Bob's on and Solar Bear, we're talking positive movement to a free and clear, not free, but clean energy. And tonight's been a little bummer, but we have to talk about it.
Yeah. No, the truth needs to be out there. Everyone needs to know what's going on. An educated, populace is a well-informed democracy.
Absolutely. Hey, I liked when you said Hunger Games, and our millennials or our Gen Zers shook their heads like, hey, we knew what you're talking about. Hey, we'll be right back after this short break. We're with here Bob Blake with Solar Bear with the Solar News.
Stay with us.
Hi, this is Chad from AM 950. Snap Construction is arguably the most well-reviewed roofing, siding, window, and insulation contractor in the metro. Ryan is so excited about working with AM 950 and our listeners that he wants to help us grow.
This is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. I was friends with Chad long before I started marketing with him. I was a bit skeptical of radio advertising before Chad convinced us to run ads. The advertising's been so successful, we want to help the station grow. We've absolutely loved working with the listeners of AM 950, and we all know how extremely important this radio station is to the community. To help AM 950 grow, Snap Construction will be putting up proceeds to assist the station in marketing on social media. Snap Construction encourages you to follow, engage, share, and interact on the AM 950 social media platforms. Together, we can all work to ensure AM 950 continues to thrive and grow in our communities. We stand by our work with a lifetime craftsmanship guarantee. For a free estimate or more information on our financing, call 612-333-SNAP or check us out online.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067 or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
Dare to be great and up your game both personally and professionally. If you're feeling stuck in a rut and unsure how to achieve your goals, then check out the Dare to be Great event on May 20th at the Parkview Event Center at the Mall of America. It features two amazing nationally known speakers to give you that extra motivation. Jack Canfield, the legendary success coach and founder of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series, will share his proven formula for success with over 100 million books sold. And Michael Vukovic, the soulful success coach and author of The Mind, the Muscle, the Miracle, will inspire and empower the audience with science, philosophy, and evolutionary wisdom. General admission tickets are $197, while VIP tickets are $297 and include a private lunch and Q&A with the speakers and discounted tickets to the Nickelodeon theme park. Don't miss this amazing opportunity to learn from two gifted speakers and move your life from good to great. That's the Dare to be Great event on Saturday, May 20th from 8 to 4 at the Parkview Event Center at the Mall of America. Tickets and details at outrageoussuccess.com.
Hi, this is Laura. Listen to Food Freedom Radio every Saturday at 8 a.m. or anytime via podcast. Our individual health is connected to the health of each other and connected to the health of the earth. We know the problems with the dominant food system: climate change, deadening soils, nitrates in the water, factory farming, injustice, concentration of wealth.
How do we both as individuals and as a community step up and support a living food system which honors the earth? Tune to Food Freedom Radio every Saturday at 8 a.m. and remember to support your independent farmers.
I'm Angela Warner for Warner Stellium. Sometimes appliances break. Other times you spend years wishing they would. We get it. That's why right now we're paying you to upgrade with our trade-in sale. We'll pay you $50 for each appliance you replace. Our in-store specialists take out the guesswork of wondering what's the best one and which one will fit. Then Warner Stellium professional crews will deliver, install, and take your old stuff away, saving you time and money. So outsource your stress and shop family-owned Warner Stellium.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. A chance of rain overnight with a low of 50, then another chance of rain on Thursday with a high of 65. Spring has arrived and it's time to take a good look at your lawn. If there are bare spots or brown patches, Natura Lawn can help. For over 30 years, Natura Lawn has taken an environmentally friendly approach to lawn care. Beat the summer rush and visit naturalawn.com.
You're listening to Native Roots Radio. This is Spirit from Reservation Dogs. Get up and listen.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by the Native American Community Development Institute in Minneapolis.
Yes, they are in Minneapolis, beautiful Minneapolis, even though we live in St. Paul, Macho Horus, in the blue clay, where blue clay land is in Ho-Chunk. Hey, we got Bob Blake with the Solar Bear with the Solar News. We have another little update too. We kind of talked about in the beginning of the show, or prior to the show, Bob. We're talking about Deb Haaland and what she had to say a couple days ago. What's your response? And maybe you can let our
What did she say?
listening audience know what she said.
Thank you.
Yeah. So the Will Project up in Alaska, they're going to, the Department of the Interior has allowed for the drilling of oil in that refuge there. And it really, this was kind of something that the Biden administration is catching heat for, because they, said that they weren't going to do any more drilling and allow for these oil permits to, happen. But it's kind of been the exact opposite. And so, Deb Haaland basically was put, on Front Street, on blast. And basically she, was like, hey, we're going to continue to drill and we are going to continue to do this, but within the, recommendations of scientists and, as safely as they possibly can. So that's just what recently happened. And there's been a lot of folks around the, environmental space that really do feel like she really let them down and this administration has let them down. So that's kind of what's happening right now. And that's what I guess we're talking about.
Yeah, it's a hard one. We've looked up to our grandmother, Deb Haaland, and we're proud of her. And she's let us down here a little bit, Wendy. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is and it's a really complicated issue, everyone. And, unfortunately, geopolitics comes into play in these situations right now. And the current relationship we have with some very aggressive, countries,
Right.
and their, I guess, strongmen that they have in their leadership right now is really making it difficult for this administration to follow through on their environmental promises, and so that's really basically, it. And the whole thing is if we don't stop Russia and Ukraine, we're going to have to battle China and Taiwan. And That's really the reality of the situation. And so we kind of have to ask ourselves, right? Like, and I hate to say this, but do we want to deal with China, or do we want to be under, Xing or Putin? I mean, this, we have such stable in a peaceful world for so long that, and I also say that this is a direct result of climate change, because these individuals know the truth. They know that
Right.
resources are being used up so so easily, and they're trying to basically on the checkerboard put themselves in position, especially in areas where they can have access to seaports. So let's look at the two positions in which both of these countries are making a move on, right? Ukraine's a seaport, Taiwan's a seaport, folks. Does this not compute with everyone? You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
unfortunately, those are democratic countries, and they are being basically invaded by these two strongmen, by these by these two other big countries, China and Russia. And
Right.
you know, United States is, basically they're going to have to take a stance somewhere, and this is why elections matter so much, because Donald Trump really messed up things. President Trump really messed up the situation there geopolitically for us with these two countries. And people, this is no joke when you vote for these people. Don't vote for these folks because you think they have the best, whatever they seem to have the best, excuse at the time. This is serious stuff. This is people's lives. And unfortunately, a lot of individuals don't pay attention to geopolitical. They think it's never going to matter to them. These wars that are happening, there's only a small percentage of Americans that go out and serve now. And
Right.
it's just we just feel like it's arm's length away, and it's not. It's literally in our backyard. So these are part of the problems that this government is facing, and this is the need, because let's just be honest. Oil is what runs armies. That's the bottom line. Oil means victory in wars. I mean,
Yeah. Well, and it was said it wasn't about oil, but the first conflict, Bush #1, that was all about oil. It,
well,
it
yeah,
was all about oil.
and look at Germany, right? In World War II, Azerbaijan. That's why they went to Azerbaijan, because Azerbaijan had a really huge oil reserve. And that's what basically powered the German army. You know what I mean? So,
Mhm.
that's unfortunately, that's the reality that we're living in. And I pray that we don't go to war. I pray that none of this happens. But sometimes, a good peace sometimes comes at the cost of situations, unfortunately, like the Willow Reserve up in Alaska. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard, and you're opening up a lot of different things in my mind, especially the backdoor draft that they have now, that the military has now. I mean, when we were young, or when I was young and Wendy young, the draft and burning your draft card and being a draft dodger, because if you didn't go to college or if you weren't a homosexual, you would be drafted into the service. And that was people that were poor that couldn't afford to go to college, and it was an economic thing. And now we have people, our relatives, Native Americans are the highest proportion of people that are in the service, but you also have our rural people that have no jobs, no outlook, that are joining the reserve and end up in the back door of the service. And here we are, we're not hearing about it because the mainstream press wants to tell you about other things, and what Trump's doing, and all these things that are just keeping us away from, look at this shiny thing over here. It's a thing that our young ones really need to be aware of, and voting starts with it. But also, when we do get our people in, as we see with what's going on with the Biden administration, for whatever reason, he's backing away from the Green New Deal and things that he ran on. And those are things that if you voted for somebody, you can really let them know what's happening and vote them out. And those are things that are real and personal.
Yeah, and I think that this is a really interesting from Nina Powers here. First oil wars, then water wars. That's absolutely correct, right? I mean, we
Mhm.
only have so much fresh water supply that, in a growing population of 8 billion people, right? That,
Mhm.
basically this planet can only, sustain 2 billion people. You know what I mean? So we're 6
Oh,
billion over everyone. And this is going
mhm.
to be, something that is definitely going to be of the future. And, there was another one here about the mine, the mine in Nevada. And, you think about, yeah, there you go. Thacker's Pass. You think about Thacker's Pass and you think about the mine over there, and that's in the desert. And I mean, what climate change is going to do is it's going to just turn a lot of these areas that are green into deserts. And so
Right.
this is, I mean, this is a serious situation. So do we mind to be able to get the minerals that we need for our electric vehicles for this transition? Do we do we not mine? Do we not use oil? Do we deal with, do we try to reason with Xi and Putin? um Man, these are really tough situations that we're going to have to deal with. And I do find faith, though. I do find a lot of inspiration in the conversations that I have with students, and I go out and I talk to them and everything, and they are so positive, and they are I just feel, Robert, like, and you were a teacher, and I feel that we can handle this. But it's going to be a bumpy ride. It's going to be difficult. Yeah. Um, but I'm sorry. Can you hear me? Can you-
Yes, I can hear you. I just wanted to go back to a point you were talking about earlier, of just the like pipeline from like rural schools and rural youth to you know uh the military. It's really, really hard to see so many of our Native youth feel like that's the only option that they have, as far as their future goes. Um, we are having a couple technical difficulties. Um, can you guys hear me?
Yes,
I'm hoping.
absolutely. I can hear you.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
no,
Okay, good.
you're
Just want to
totally
make sure I'm
correct.
not talking to myself.
And you want to know that that is such a real thing. I mean, and when you look at the participation of communities, underserved communities in the military, obviously you have a high rate. You know what I mean? But I mean, man, it is very difficult, though, to basically deal with that. And I totally hear you. So yeah, we're coming up here on the end, and we are having some technical
We're
difficulties.
back on, you guys.
Oh,
Life is good. Hey, I just want to say one thing before we leave, and is Peeny Bob Blake from the Solar Bears Solar News. And I was just mentioning on the radio side of this broadcast is that we knew we were in trouble when all of a sudden water became on the stock market, and then everyone needs to keep an eye on that too, because water is life. Stop line 3. No DAPL, all those things that we fight for as Native Americans. Thanks, Bob, for being on, and
which
all your great insight.
bye. Oh,
Oh, that's up next. Yes, Howling for Wolves. Next, our Sacred Animal section with Wendy Pilot. You will be right back after this short break.
Stay with us. Hey, Olgama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Hey, it's Tom. Solar panels are a great asset to your home and they increase your property value. Plus, they're the only home improvement project that pays for itself by saving you money on your utility costs. With spring being the season of home renovations, it's a great time to learn more about the benefits of going solar so you can finally break free from your monthly utility bill. Attend a free webinar from All Energy Solar to learn more. These webinars will show you why going solar is a powerful investment for your home and tell you about local and federal incentive programs, including the 30% federal tax credit. These free virtual events are hosted by All Energy Solar experts who are ready to answer all your questions about solar, no matter what type of property you have. If you're someone who's thought about going solar but are unsure, then these webinars are perfect for you. Visit allenergysolar.com/webinar to register and start your solar journey. That's allenergysolar.com/webinar.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States.
And 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected.
Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf.
Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy.
As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired.
Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Bijou. I am Oshawashko Gajig. I'm from Red Lake Nation, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake.
This portion of the show is supported by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations. Awesome.
I was just following the... Hey, I want to introduce Wendy, our awesome and beautiful, and my awesome and beautiful wife, and she speaks about our sacred animals. And again, I learned so much about... she never tells me what we're going to talk about, so it's awesome, and I learned so much about what she brings up about our relatives, which have hooves, tails, fins, and noses and ears and schnozzes. And welcome, Wendy.
Hey, everybody. My name is Hanajihihani. I was given that name by my Dega Curtis. Curtis goes by Mashke Hanajinga, which means walks on white clouds. I'm a humane policy volunteer leader for the Humane Society of the United States, and I work on animal issues at the local and state level, and it's always my pleasure to do that. So I don't tell Robert what I'm talking about most days because I don't know, sometimes 5 minutes before I'm here. So I have a little bit of a mishmash today of just kind of things that I wanted to talk about, and like just little snippets of things I've been saving, notes that I've been saving. So they just kind of add up. I have like a little in my notes on my phone, when I find something that I find interesting, I just kind of stick it in there and kind of talk about them. That's all. So that's what I'm doing today.
Awesome.
But I think I've said this before, and I've talked about this before. Beautiful picture. I'm going to put it up in a second, but it's a beautiful picture of the forest and the road going through the forest and a car on the road, and then a deer crossing the road. And the saying on it says the deer isn't crossing the road. The deer isn't crossing the road is crossing the forest. So I think that's an important thing for us to always remember. The deer isn't crossing the road is crossing the forest, because we are really infringing on these animals. And then we all complain, right? When they're in our way or they get in our houses and they make a little mess and they're eating our garbage or in our backyards. And, we just really need to realize that that's what we're doing. So, yeah.
Yeah. Good call.
Last summer was the last time I saw a bat. So, I've never seen a bat really up front and up close. I don't know how you would do that, but I see them sometimes, like at sunset when they come around, they're flying around. You could see them. It's like, oh, the bats are coming out now,
Eating mosquitoes.
Yeah. And I think that they're so cool. So I found this little thing, and it was the top 5 reasons to appreciate bats. So I think bats have a really bad name because of Dracula and all that kind of thing. And then there's bats, and they're going to suck your blood. Vampires. Vampires.
Batman.
Yeah, and that they're going to suck your blood, but they're not. They're really harmless. So they are major pollinators of over 500 plant species. I didn't know that they were pollinators. So I think that they bring
There's
pollen from one plant to another and touch other things, and that's how they do the pollinating.
that's so. I just learned something.
I
I'm
didn't
writing
know
that
that.
down.
Yeah,
What the
they
heck?
are major pollinators of over 500 plant species.
Wow,
Yeah,
we need
they're organic, like you just said, Robert. They're organic mosquito control.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they could live for more than 30 years.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? I had no idea. And they're no threat to humans. So there you go. And they need our help. Destruction of their natural habitat, hunting, and disease have decimated their population. So again, there we go.
Wow.
Us humans decimating another species habitat. Was it last year or the year before? A friend of mine on Facebook found a bat who was really sick.
Oh.
I think it was at the Roberts Bird Sanctuary. I think that's somewhere here in Minnesota. It might be in Minneapolis also. I don't remember offhand.
Mhm.
But anyway, he put out a call saying, hey, listen, I have this bat. He's really sick. I want to bring it to the Wildlife Rehabilitation Center in Roseville,
Yeah.
Minnesota. And is there anybody out there who could just drive the bat there? Because he couldn't get there. He was working. So I was like, oh, okay, I could go pick up the bat. So I go to his house and he had the bat in a box, and the bat had, the box had holes in it, and he, whatever. So I drove it to the Roseville.
Why do I vaguely remember,
Do you remember this? I was like, oh,
Vaguely.
I'm like, babe, I got to leave. I got to go pick up a bat, and
See
I got to
ya.
bring the bat to the
Pick up some milk on the way.
I'll pick up
Organic,
some milk and
some
bread.
oat milk on
Yeah,
the way home.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I brought the bat in, and they, have you sign your name and, where the bat came from and as much information as you can, because it helps them determine, the death or whatever. So anyway, and then they give you updates.
Yeah.
I love this place. Again, it's the Wildlife Rehabilitation Center in Roseville, and they do like an awesome job, and they take all the wildlife.
Mhm.
So the woman took the bat, and then shortly after, they sent me an email saying that the bat was dead on
Oh.
arrival. Yeah, it was sad. I was really sad about it. And they did a necropsy report because they do want to find out how these animals are dying, and
Right.
it was starvation.
Whoa.
Yeah, the bat died of starvation, and the woman said that, with
Whoa.
all the pesticides and all the fertilizers and everything that we're using, and the bug sprays, right, to kill all the bugs that this bat would normally eat, and all the, getting rid of all the mosquitoes, they just can't find enough stuff to
Jeez.
eat. Yeah.
Let me tell you a quick story. Where
Yeah.
I used to work, when I was 17, 18 years old
Mhm.
on Grand Avenue in St. Paul,
And the
there
rock
was
ages.
what?
The rock ages.
Oh, yeah, rock
Mhm.
and roll. Yeah. So there was an old chimney that wasn't being used in this building on Grand Avenue that was where the restaurant I worked at. And when it got dusk, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of bats flew out of that chimney
Yeah.
and flew all the way around and flew around. And it was amazing because it was at twilight where you're going, what is that flying around? And now, as you say, we don't even see that. And when you mentioned didn't see a bat this year, I was
Yeah.
like, wow, we usually see them down by the river where they're flying low, and we haven't at dusk.
Yeah, sometimes we could even see them if we're outside, just sitting out on the deck. You
Right.
could see them flying around at dusk. Yeah. So, and a Facebook friend of mine posted this. She had a picture of a dead honeybee, and it was in the palm of her hand. And this is what she wrote: the pollen on her legs, and she's talking about the honeybee, is from dandelions.
Right.
Yep. Her tongue is sticking out due to what killed her that was on the dandelions. It's spring. Dandelions are the bee's first food.
Right.
This bee is dead from weed killer spread on what we see as weeds, but what nature sees as food, right? So the bee, everybody sprays these dandelions. Nobody wants them. Please don't spray weeds until you see the blackberries blooming. In this area, and I don't remember what area it was, weeds, flowers, and fruit trees are the bees' only source of food until the middle of June. Yeah, they are far more weeds than flowers or fruit trees. So it's their only food source. No bees, no food crops for us, and then we all starve.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's really
Oh.
sad. Do you remember when you were a kid? I remember when I was a kid, I would love to see the lightning bugs. Some people
Yeah.
call them fireflies,
Right.
right? There'd be millions of them. We'd catch them in jars and then we
Yeah.
put
I see 'em
grass
a
and
few in the
stuff.
city.
And I remember like putting the jar on my night table and I just watch them and go to sleep
As
and
you're
watch the
killing
light
'em.
as I'm killing them slowly with a slow. I put holes in the top. I let them out in the next day.
Oh.
But anyway, listen to this. Fireflies spend the first 2 years of their lives underground.
What?
Yeah, underground. And
They're like little big bugs?
lawn chemicals are killing them.
Mm.
So they don't even get a chance to be born. That's why we never see any fireflies and lightning bugs anymore. Isn't that terrible? So really, let's go easy on the pesticides, people.
Wow, really good message. Even though you didn't tell me what you were going to say beforehand, that's a really good message, Wendy.
Yeah.
Seriously, that's
Mhm.
it's that time of year. And,
It is.
And dandelions are food, medicine.
I'm
and
already seeing little signs on people's lawns, chemically treated.
Right.
Keep your pets and children off of it until a certain date.
Yeah, that
drives me crazy.
That ought to tell you something right there. But hey, thanks for Bob Blake. Thanks
Yeah.
for Zoe and Haley. And of course, Wendy. We'll be back tomorrow. You're listening to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake.
Free Leonard Peltier.
Now.
No matter if you're eating out or cooking